Hey there, and welcome. Let me ask you something. What do you think is the single biggest threat to your home? You might think fire, maybe a burglar. Well, what if I told you is something way more common, a silent troublemaker that can cause total chaos? And it all starts with just a single drop. Today, we're going to break down the whole process of dealing with water damage.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about how water becomes this unwanted guest in the first place. Then, we're going to zoom in on a city that's in a constant fight with it, Houston. After that, we'll walk through how the pros handle it, get into the science behind the damage, and finally, look at what really happens long after the water's gone.
All right, let's dive right in. Look, in the right place, water is everything, right? But once it gets inside your walls or under your floors, it becomes a really unwelcome guest. One that's more than capable of turning a tiny issue into an absolute nightmare.
So let me ask you again, just think about it for a second. What is the single most destructive force that can happen inside your house? Are you thinking fire? Maybe a big storm?
Well, you might be surprised to hear that so often the answer is just water. And the tricky part is, it doesn't show up with a big crash. No, it starts as a slow drip, a small overflow, a little crack you'd never notice. It just works silently, doing devastating damage before you even have a clue it's there.
And the culprits? They are hiding in plain sight. I mean, look at this list. These aren't some exotic once-in-a-lifetime threats. We're talking about the everyday appliances we all have and depend on. Your washing machine hose gives out, or the AC line gets clogged on a scorching hot day. It's these super familiar things that can kick off a major water disaster.
Now, to really get a handle on this threat, let's put it under a microscope and look at a real-world case study. Houston, Texas. This is a city that is locked in a constant, really complex battle with water.
Seriously, Houston gets it from all sides. You've got the obvious stuff, right? Hurricanes, heavy Gulf storms. But then you have these other factors that make everything worse. That year-round humidity that means nothing ever really dries out on its own, old pipes in the historic homes, and even brand new plumbing failing in new builds. It is literally a perfect storm of bad conditions.
And get this. This is the part a lot of people don't realize. It's the ground itself. Houston is built on this expansive clay soil, which means it swells up when it's wet and shrinks down when it's dry. So your home's foundation? It's basically in a state of constant subtle movement. And that movement can crack pipes and foundations, opening up perfect little pathways for water to sneak in.
And once that water gets in, oh man, the clock starts ticking fast. Within just 1 hour, it's already soaking deep into your drywall, your subfloors. Give it 24 hours and things start to swell and warp. But here is the absolute critical deadline. In a humid place like Houston, mold can start to grow in as little as 48 hours. That window for taking simple, safe action is incredibly small.
So with that clock ticking away, what happens next? This is where the pros step in. It's where you see a panic-inducing, chaotic situation get turned into a controlled, methodical, scientific process. We're talking about the professional restoration playbook. 60, that's the number. What is it? It's the goal for the maximum number of minutes it should take for a pro team to get on site. Because they know that timeline we just saw, their whole business is built for speed. Getting there within the hour is absolutely crucial to stop the damage from spreading. And their process follows 3 really clear steps. First up, emergency extraction. That means getting all the standing water out, like right now. Second, they start the complete structural drying. This is the part where they hunt down all the hidden moisture you can't see. And only after everything is confirmed to be totally dry does step 3 begin, the actual restoration and rebuilding.
And this right here, this really gets to the heart of the professional mindset. A true emergency response team doesn't show up with a clipboard to look around and give you an estimate for later. No way. They show up with the truck-mounted extractors already running, ready to start pulling water the second they walk through the door. It's all about immediate action.
Okay, so now let's nerd out for a second and get into the science of it all. Because to really understand what the professionals are doing, you need to know a little bit about the technical standards that guide every single decision they make on the job.
One of the most important things to know is that not all water is the same. It's actually classified into 3 categories. Category 1 is clean water, from a broken supply line. Category 2 is gray water, which has some yucky stuff in it, like from a dishwasher. But Category 3, black water, that's the serious stuff, from sewage or floodwaters. It's highly contaminated and requires totally different safety gear and procedures.
So who even makes up all these rules and categories? Well, that would be the IICRC. It stands for the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification. The easiest way to think of them is as the organization that writes the official rulebook for the entire industry. Their standards make sure every step is done safely, effectively, and is backed by science.
And this quote right here, this really nails why all those standards matter to you, the homeowner. Following these rules isn't just about doing a good job. It's about creating the super detailed paperwork your insurance company needs to approve your claim. And even more importantly, it's what prevents much, much bigger problems, like mold or structural issues from popping up later on.
Okay, so let's get to our final section. After the water receipts. The standing water is gone, the big noisy equipment is running, but believe me, the job is far from over. This last phase is all about making a full recovery and preventing future headaches.
First, let's clear up something that trips a lot of people up: the difference between mitigation and restoration. Think of mitigation as the emergency room phase. It's all about stopping the bleeding, extracting water, drying things out. Restoration is what comes after that. That's the reconstruction, the part where things are actually repaired and rebuilt. They are two totally different but connected stages.
And you've got to be patient, because this process takes time. Even what looks like minor damage can take several days to dry properly. For a really severe flood, you could be looking at a week, maybe 2. You just can't rush it, especially in humid places. The goal isn't just for it to be dry to the touch. It has to be verifiably dry, deep down inside the structure.
And that brings us to maybe the most critical point of all. Pulling the drying equipment even one day too soon is a massive gamble. It might seem like a way to save a little money in the short term, but it is the #1 reason people end up with secondary damage, especially mold. And that creates a way bigger, way more expensive problem down the line.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. Your home looks dry, it feels dry, but is it truly safe? What about the hidden moisture that could still be trapped where you can't see it? That's the whole challenge with water damage. And it's a powerful reminder that real safety isn't just about what's on the surface. It's about making sure you've eliminated the hidden threat that can linger long after the water is gone.